The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Are the Vancouver Canucks pretenders? Pretenders? What are we, Trevor? Why are we? Can we just watch some hockey for real? Can we just talk about the damn games?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with the Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world and for our show. If you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go subscribe and like this video on YouTube, and on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a good old 5-star review, because we're not here without you, and we're also not here without the sponsors, baby. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with the big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Kyle, the numbers don't lie. For the YouTube live listeners, we're never on time. The numbers also don't lie. The Canucks, not so good against good teams so far this season, okay? We're going to get into that and talk about, can the Canucks finally beat a good team? What's it going to take? And where are they struggling against the good teams so far this season? We'll also preview a game tonight against another good team, the Los Angeles Kings. And I know the Canucks should be better than the Kings. I think most people think the Canucks are better than the Kings. But the Kings are still a damn good hockey team. The Canucks haven't really put in a terrific performance against a contender so far this season. So let's get into all that. Before we get into it, let me introduce my co-host, always bringing his A game, man. Kyle Bowen. How's it going, brother?
I'm chilling, man. Living the dream, trying to get better day by day. Again, no nut November, staying away from the macadamians, and also no 420 November. And not that 420 makes me a worse person. I'm just living a different life. Okay, I'm dreaming again. Do the math. That's what happens when you stop with the 420. All in all, the Vancouver Canucks tonight in Los Angeles. I'm looking forward to them beating a good team. I don't know if I'm being an asshole, right? Is it too early to demand that they beat good teams? I feel as if we were doing this a lot towards the end of last season as well. Right, there were some inconsistencies against like the Kings and the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanches and whatnot. I think they played Vegas twice. They beat them once. They lost once. It just feels as if, again, I'm being an asshole. I should take the what's the record right now? 6-2-3. Well, what's the record? That's the record, right?
2-3. You got it, bud.
I should be content with that. But here I am going into a duo of games, right? The Kings and the Oilers. Two really good teams in the Pacific Division. And I want wins. I want good games. I don't want to see what happened against Carolina. I don't want to see what happened against the Devils. I don't want to see what happened against Tampa Bay. Beggsy, am I being an asshole for not appreciating what they did against Philadelphia, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Anaheim and San Jose?
No, you're not. And I think that's the Canucks have had a very soft schedule so far. And kudos to them for, again, picking up points in 9 of their first 11 games. But Kyle, you kind of laid it out, right? It's 5 wins against bottom feeders, and right now Pittsburgh is in that conversation. They have 1 win against a good team, and that's the Florida Panthers, their first win of the season, which, again, was a good game. Florida brought the all despite not having Barkov and Tkachuk. That game went to overtime before JT Miller, ended it in overtime. But against good teams so far this season, if you want to include Florida, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and New Jersey, realistically, those are the only good 4 teams they play in the first 11 games. They're 1-2-1. And no regulation wins, obviously, with that only regulation win coming against the Florida Panthers. So right now it begs the question. I know it's been a bit of an inconsistent start for Vancouver. They've been bailed out by Lankin a little bit. They've been definitely bailed out by Quinn Hughes, just absolutely looking like the MVP of the NHL right now. But there's question marks about, can they beat the good teams?
Can they beat the good teams without needing Kevin Lankinen to keep them in games too? And I know it's important for goaltenders to do so. In fact, most teams who do dominate games have like really consistent goaltending, right? Let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's not take that for granted. Sometimes we ignore the goaltender when we're talking about overall team play and whatnot, but it's the game of hockey, okay? You got to include the goaltending in your analytics, okay? All in all, though, it would be nice, really nice for this team who, you and I believe are contenders, right? Not pretenders. We want to believe that this team with 2 number 1 centers, I know Pettersson's struggling right now, but 2 number 1 centers, a Norris Trophy winner, a Hart Trophy potential winner, a Conn Smythe potential winner. We want to believe that those guys can get the job done and do so with some ease at times against, again, good teams. And it's early. I know we shouldn't really be demanding much, but you do want to see some sort of dominance similar to what we saw from the Canucks and the PDO Canucks of last fall and winter before Alvin and Rutherford have a sense of what to do with the roster. And I know they're definitely going to play that card too. Like they're not going to be satisfied with just picking up dubs during a soft schedule and then analyzing this team and being like, yo, we got to go all in now. We gotta give this team a long runway to get together and bring in some new players, right? It would just be, again, satisfying to see them just kind of flip the narrative inside my heart and remind me how good this team can be. And again, it's only a 2-game sample size coming up, but wouldn't it be nice for them to do so against the LA Kings, who are playing better? They're playing good hockey, right? They may not be a joke in the Pacific after all. And the Oilers, who have McDavid back.
Yeah, 100%. And again, these are 2 division rivals. And, we had in the comments right now here from Tyrone States saying that the LA had the Canucks number last year. The Canucks, again, in their games against all NHL teams last season, LA was the only team to beat the Canucks 3 times. And of course, that's only going to happen against Western Conference teams. But the Canucks went 1-3 against the LA Kings last season.
Yeah.
Ironically, and this is a bit of an interesting stat, the Canucks beat every team in the league last season at least once, except for the Philadelphia Flyers and the Colorado Avalanche. But again, when you play the good teams, and LA is one of those teams, they're 8-3-3 right now to start the season. And interestingly enough, they have another young player who's struggling a bit in Quinton Byfield. But overall, they're winning hockey games, right? And you look at what they did this week. I watched a good chunk of the Kings and the Preds, and they were just all over the Preds. Darcy Kemper with a 16-save shutout. One of the easiest shutouts he'll probably ever get in the NHL. Then on the second night of back-to-backs, they go against a red-hot Minnesota Wild team and spank him 5-1 with Dave Riddick in net. Big Dick Dave. I mean, big save Dave.
Whoa.
So again, you want to see the Canucks actually step up against a good team, because to me, they played well in that Florida game. Again, it was a Florida team missing Barkov and Tkachuk, but still a good Florida team. But that was the only time that they really...
Trevor, man. Come on. They didn't have Barkov and Tkachuk. They played well. That's a championship team. Like, every player plays hard on that team. They have that Paul Maurice-like energy. They have a level of tenacity that's really unmatched. They brought out the best in the Canucks, but we got to remember that they didn't have 2 of their best players, like 1 and 2. Bobrovsky, you could throw him in the mix too, and Reinhardt's really good, I understand, but they didn't have those 2 guys. And that's, again, why it's so important for the fan base and also, again, the management group to see what they could do right now against the Oilers and the Kings. How do we assess this team? This team needs a lot of help in their decor. What type of trade do we want to make? Like, it kind of comes down to moments like this in the season. And to me, it's not even just about the wins and losses. Luckily that, even without Demko, even without Joshua, but I'll say it again, even without Demko and Pettersson and a effing power play, we're swimming way above water. So to me, it's not even about the wins and losses, albeit, I do want to beat the Oilers. But if they play 2 really good games here, 2 60-minute games, 2 games that somewhat look similar to what they did against the Ducks for like 50 minutes, I'll be content. That's what I'm feeling right now, and that's what I want.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle. And again, I think let's get into a bit more on the other side. But there's a couple of reasons why the Canucks are struggling against good teams, and they're really being bailed out by a couple of guys and some depth players. But overall, they're struggling with the speed of some of the teams that they face off against. And we talked about on previous episodes, every day or no, but Carolina and New Jersey, they just look faster than the Canucks. Now, the Kings won't necessarily present that challenge, which is, again, why I would expect that the Canucks are going to have a good run here tonight. But let's get into that more on the other side. And one of the other things I do want to touch on as well Actually, let's just save it for the other side, baby. All right. You're listening to Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. We'll be back after we shout out our friends over at Gametime and FanDuel.
Bada bing.
All right. You know the deal, baby. Hey, if you're in LA tonight, okay, go get some tickets at crypto.com arena and make sure you use the Gametime app, baby, because there's no other place you should be buying tickets, okay? The Gametime app, they got it all. Now they're stepping it up even further with this new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks, they filter out the fluff, okay? It's like a lice check. Who doesn't love that? But on an app, and they show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. On that Gametime app, again, you got the Gametime Picks. You get the all-in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. You get the seat view, so you feel what it's like, even if you're sitting on the toilet. And again, that lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time.
One love to Gametime, man. Yo, I wonder how expensive these tickets are at Crypto Arena. I guarantee you can go to the LA Kings game tonight for like $26 American, which is still like 170. Okay.
All right. And I'll shout out FanDuel, okay? Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Okay, we're going to be watching the Canucks and Kings tonight. We also got a good Thursday night football game, too, with the Bengals and the Ravens. And my daughter didn't make this pick, so it's probably going to be wrong. But the Bengals, 6-point underdogs against the Ravens. Joe Burrow, he tends to shine when he's an underdog. I at least like the Bengals to cover this spread. If not even win outright, man. Let's go. Joe Slim Shady Burrow. If you're going to place a bet on Joe Burrow and the Bengals or whatever you place a bet on, make sure you go visit FanDuel.com and join today.
One love to FanDuel. People, we back doing this, and that is talking about your Vancouver Canucks, Kyle Bowen, and more importantly, the second best dad in the world, Trevor Beggs, on the program. Do us all a favor, hit the like button. Hey, hit the like button because the Canucks are going to turn it around spiritually, okay? They're going to reach their full potential, okay? Look at this comment from Elston Gunn. It's going to happen eventually. The Canucks, the second highest points percentage, maybe the third highest after yesterday's results. I haven't really looked in the Pacific Division, but here we are wanting more. And Elston is saying that he heard on TSN that the Canucks are a sleeping giant, right? They have a decent record, and Demko hasn't played yet. Pettersson hasn't really played yet, right? The power play sucks, but he thinks that we'll be nasty when we start clicking, okay? Look at this, though, okay? Does this kind of concern you? Where's that, the goal stat? I had a crazy goal stat. Where did it go? Winnipeg, Vegas. They've played 13 games. This is coming from James Moore, okay? Google him. The Canucks have 35 goals versus 34 goals against through 11 games, okay? That's a bit of a shaky stat. I'm going to have to agree with that. I really am. I know they're kind of inflated based on that 6-0 loss and whatnot, but it's kind of shaky if we want to be a contending team, if we want to go all in for a top 4 defenseman. Anyways, Vegas has 58 goals for, and the Jets have 62 goals for. That's a huge difference. And I know it's early in the season, and it really doesn't matter about the regular season. And let's be honest, Trevor, as sports fans, very rarely what happens in October and November dictates what happens in May and June. It's not to say that teams who don't do good in these months don't end up winning the Stanley Cup, but they look different. So it's okay. But again, the appetite for more is apparent through the fan base for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, 100%. And again, there's some scary things right now with the Vancouver Canucks, right? And the goal scoring is one of them. I will point out with Vegas and the Jets, they are by far the top 2 teams in the NHL in terms of goals scored. Like James Moore mentioned, the Jets have 62 goals. The Vegas Golden Knights have 58. The third highest team has 53 goals, okay? And in terms of goals for per game, they are just by far and above the competition. But the Jets also have a 44.4% power play so far this season. The Vegas Knights scoring on 1/3 of their power plays. One thing that the Canucks and Kings have in common are, good penalty kills and bad power plays. The Kings are right now 21st in the NHL with a 17% power play. The Canucks 16.7% and 22nd. The Canucks just ahead of the Kings on the penalty kill at 82.4%. The Kings at 80%. So interestingly enough, it feels like the Vancouver Canucks, are they playing LA Kings hockey right now? Because you look at this for even the even strength stats. And this kind of surprised me about the Canucks. And I don't want to read too much into it because, again, they faced 7 bad teams so far this season. But in terms of expected goals against, the Los Angeles Kings at even strength lead the league with the 1.99 expected goals against per 60. The Canucks have the third best mark at 2.11. But again, I think the Kings, they played some bad teams too, but they've also played Vegas a couple times. They played some good teams in there too. Nashville, Minnesota, as I mentioned. So I read more into that Kings number than I do the Canucks number. So Kyle, what do you think? The Canucks statistically looking like one of the best defensive teams in the NHL right now. The penalty kill is good. Is there some merit there, or is that largely a factor of them facing some pretty bad teams?
I mean, let's talk about the the elephant in the room. No, it's the truth. And, we got some ridicule yesterday about being too harsh on Elias Pettersson. And we had a fan who loves the show, but isn't happy about how we don't bring up Pettersson's injury when we bring up open criticism towards Mr. 11.6. But there's no way that this team can take the next level offensively or even match what they did early on last season if their second line center is borderline a third line center. Look, he's a third line center. He can play well in his own zone, do his thing, but there's no offense driving through his veins. There's no aura about him, right? And you can get some of that aura from Pius Suter or more specifically Teddy Bluger down the middle and him driving a line with Sherwood and Heinen. But it's a different energy when Pettersson is causing a ruckus offensively. Kind of bleeds throughout the lineup, right? And it's not to say that he would make up like the 20 goals that were behind Vegas and Winnipeg. But if he's going, maybe we've scored 45 goals this year. And maybe that's not because he's dominating 5-on-5, but what if he's going on the power play? It's those fine details. And the other thing that we got to point out too, it's interesting how going into the season, Tocchet is talking about opening things up, and we are scoring pretty much at the same clip as we were doing in the second half of the season. And I want to turn it around to you. Like, what's more? Not a problem, but what's holding us back more? Is it the new system? Is it understanding things? Is it maybe not having Demko and having to play a different style with Lankinen in net, which I doubt because Lankinen's been like performing highway robbery during times of his dominance throughout the season. But yeah, what's been more of a hurdle to get over? The fact that Pettersson is not going offensively, or implementing a new system with new players and again, Rick Tocchet wanted to be, just a little bit brand new going into the season.
I think it's the Pettersson effect, 100%. And sorry to our commenter who thought we're not talking about Pettersson's injury enough. But here's the thing. If you think Pettersson's, the injury is the primary reason for him not playing up to snuff, he shouldn't be playing 20 minutes a night. Look at his stat log. A lot of nights right now. And I know he played some bad teams recently, but he's pushing 20 minutes a night. If he is truly injured, give the guy the third line minutes. Let him ease into the action, right? That's either on the coaching staff or the injuries not as bad as people are making out to be. It's one of the two things. But yeah, I just think with the new system this year, you see the Canucks trying to be more aggressive, but they're still kind of right in the muck in terms of the offense they create. It's about middle of the pack, which I guess is a little bit better than the end of last season. But God, if you look at some scary stats, and these are the numbers going back to
Bring it up.
The February 1st of last year, the Canucks 22nd overall in terms of goals scored per game. They've actually allowed more goals against per game than goals scored per game since February 1st of last year, right? 2.91 goals scored, 2.93 goals against, okay? Their power play, which has been bad for a long time, since February 1st of last season, 18.2%. That is 26th overall in the NHL. Only Utah, Anaheim, Montreal, Columbus, the Islanders, the Bruins, and the Flyers are worse. All right? This is a team with Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Boeser on this team, okay? I just think that I think they're in their own heads too much right now. Like you can implement systems and do everything, but in the DNA of the Canucks right now, and we saw this early last season, is that they almost try to go quality over quantity. Instead of just getting pucks on net, go for the tips, going for the greasy ones, they try to dance and doodle and make the fancy play. And they need to start cutting some of that out of their game and just get some goddamn pucks on net. Kind of LA King style, which is a bit more greasy, but especially for a guy like Pettersson to get off the schneid, just get some pucks on net, man. The guy's barely firing them. And I feel like the rest of the team is kind of doing the same to a certain extent, except for maybe a couple of bottom six guys.
And Quinn Hughes. And it's ironic that you mentioned that Pettersson's got to have more shots on net. I think he had I don't know if it was 6 shots on net or 6 shots towards the net during that game against the Ducks. But, it's against the Ducks. I don't give an ish. That's one of the worst teams I've ever seen play hockey in recent history. And you have to take that into account when leveraging your optimism towards Pettersson. I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to see it tonight against the Kings, against a stingy team, right? It's hard to provoke offense against the LA Kings. Dude, Pettersson, just do it. How about you follow Connor Garland's lead and just do it? Have some confidence. Do your thing. The offense has to flow through that guy. It will bleed throughout the whole lineup. A little bit of energy, a little bit of confidence, okay? They say that goaltending can do that for your team, right? Give your team some mojo. You know it for sure. An elite athlete down the middle playing ice hockey for your team, if he is going and playing at his potential, if the rest of the bench is looking at Pettersson and oh, damn, he's really going right now, it's going to give a pep in the step. No offense to Kiefer Sherwood and company. They bring their game all the time, but it doesn't equate to the same aura that Pettersson can bring when he's on. Real talk. And maybe people are going to get annoyed at our recent constant ridicule towards Pettersson, but it's game going into game 12. And, you talked about the Canucks being a team that allowed more goals against than scoring goals since February 1st, pretty much, goals per game. That's a sad stat, but it directly correlates with Pettersson's beginning to struggle. What are Pettersson's stats from February 1st? Exactly. All of these struggles offensively for the Vancouver Canucks directly connect to Elias Pettersson. You want to talk about the power play sucking too, bro? I'm not saying it's his fault completely, but he's a big part of it. We won't ever get to see the full potential of this team unless this guy's going. And again, I would like to see it tonight. I would like to see it against the Oilers on Saturday, and mainly because I just want to see this team firing at its full potential. I know Josh was not in the lineup yet, but I want to see this team firing at its full potential. So again, Albin and Rutherford can make a more calculated strike with what they got to do to fix the back end. And, just to touch on the back end, Trevor, and maybe you can carry on this point. I mean, I know I spent a lot of time criticizing Pettersson there, but again, when Soucy's struggling to break out the puck, being our third best defenseman and having to lean on Desharnais and Myers to pick up the slack, that just sounds nasty in a sentence. That in itself allows the Canucks to be less of an optical or optimized offensive team, right? Straight up. It starts from the back end as far as transition goes. So if those guys are struggling or Soucy's struggling, it's another problem, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's honestly, I'm kind of flabbergasted to see the Canucks with the third lowest expected goals against at even strength in the league, considering how bad the defense has been outside of Quinn Hughes. Now, I should take a step back because I think for a good chunk of the last couple of weeks, we talked about how Hughes and Hronek have been good and the rest of the defense hasn't been good. Eric Brandstrom right now, his underlying numbers are fantastic, right?
Read
so
them.
It's I don't have it in front of me, but in terms of expected goals against, I was reading about this last night. After the Ducks game, and Quinn Hughes has the third highest expected goals against in the league, or expected goals for percentage, I should say. So that's calculating both expected goals for and against. Only Gostisbehere and Sean Walker in Carolina had better, and they play on the same pair, and Carolina has the ultimate coach bump. But Eric Brandstrom's in the top 20 in terms of expected goals for percentage, and he's doing that despite playing with Desharnais, who sucked, despite playing with Myers, who sucked. So again, Brandstrom deserves a lot of credit because when he's on the ice, he tends to be pushing up the ice, looking like a little bit Quinn Hughes light there. Okay, Kyle,
the truth.
let's wrap up on the other side. I do want to touch on a couple more news and notes regarding the LA Kings. I also want to ask the question about Archer Shelovs. When does he start again? Get some comments too. Lots to come on the other side as we wrap things up here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day after we shouted our friends over at Indeed. You know the deal, baby. It ain't Speedo season anymore, okay? So get off your rear end and go find a job. And if you're an employer who needs to hire, you need Indeed, okay? Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they got a matching engine so fast, it helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed just doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is that they make fast things look not fast because they're so fast, baby. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of the show, guess what? You'll get a $75 sponsored job credit. Wow. To get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, we back doing this, and that is talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. One love to the Don't Doze Art Collective, the Don't Doze Art Lab, the people at the top for giving us the place to give you that West Coast vibes for real. They got that neighborly love in their hearts. One love to you and you and you and you and you and you. Do us all a favor right now and hit the like button. If you're enjoying the show on the podcast side, a 5-star review can go a long way. Okay, Christmas is coming up, and Hims, right? One of the other sponsors in the show. Dude, I'd love to get 90 of those erectile dysfunction pills delivered discreetly to my crib. You know? It's Christmas, baby. Christmas, holiday loving. My girl deserves the best, man. And sometimes I need help. Yo, everyone needs help. And right now, Shelovs needs some help, okay? But he's not getting in the lineup anytime soon. It's just the truth. Real talk. And it's funny how life works out. And this is getting dark now because injuries shouldn't equate to, what's that term? Oh, it's divine timing, or like everything happens for a reason. But what are the chances that Demko is kind of sort of about to come back and Patero just got hurt in Abbotsford?
Divine timing indeed. Now, here's a stat about Shelovs that caught my attention. This is courtesy of Kevin Woodley when he was on Sportsnet 650. He was saying, based on the data that he has access to, that the Canucks have an .854 expected save percentage while Shelovs has been playing, which is basically saying that the Canucks defense has left Shelovs out to dry in the games that he's played so far. And again, you talk about, the Canucks facing some good teams. They've only faced 4 good teams so far. Shelovs played in 2 of those games. Lankinen played the other 2, okay? So Lankinen has, again, he's been great so far, one of the best goaltenders in the league so far. But, all but 2 of his starts have been against bad teams. Let's put it that way. So whoever gets the starts tonight, I think if it's Shelovs, that would be a spicy take. I don't think it will be. If it's Lankinen, again, much like the rest of the team, the Canucks, again, piling up points so far. Good for them. Let's see them do it against a good team. So, Kevin Lankinen, whoever's in net is the guy to watch for me tonight. The other guy to watch for you from the Canucks side is Brock Boeser. Brock Boeser. Again, go check out yesterday's episode if you haven't already, where we talked about Brock Boeser. Should he make Team USA, the 4 nations, and who would he knock off the roster if he made it? But Brock Boeser, by the way, has 17 goals in 20 career games against the LA Kings. Oh. That's unbelievable stuff. So, yeah, Brock Boeser has always been hot against the LA Kings. Let's see what he can do tonight.
Yeah, Brock Boeser's just been hot in general since last year. Straight up. I'm not talking about his looks too, okay? Come on. No, Trevor, man. It ain't like that, man. I'm Kyle Bowen, okay? Straighter than a ruler, all right? Not bigger than a ruler, though. Dude, what? Anyways.
Who's bigger than a ruler, man? Unbelievable.
Yo, that would be sick, yo. If I was bigger than a ruler, Speedos. Yo, if I was bigger than a ruler. You know how you go to the room and you go to the change room, go to the gym and you go to the change room. I never like get naked in the change room, right? I put the towel over and whatnot, right? When I'm sweating and whatnot. But if I was bigger than a ruler, bro, dude, I'm just walking into the change room. What? Anyways, Brock Boeser. I was talking to Trevor about this, and I actually wrote about this yesterday in my blog, link in the bio. And recently, even though I haven't been smoking the 420, I've been like trading everyone, right? Trading Suter. Like, how are we going to get Roman Josi since Nashville's in a rebuild? And Brock Boeser, this guy's playing like a $9 million player. He's so good 5-on-5, one of the best 5-on-5 players in the league. Okay. I think we read that stat yesterday, right? When he's on the ice, the Canucks have like 1,000 goals for, and like they've only allowed 50. He's just so elite defensively and offensively as well. He's that guy. He's going to get paid a lot. But man, oh man, what happens if they can't sign him? Or he doesn't want to take a little bit of a discount? Do they trade him? Like, I'm all over the place. But at the end of the day, I wake up every morning feeling so damn lucky that guy's on our team. And in a time where Pettersson is struggling, how did we get to a place where it feels as if we can sometimes get away with it, especially in the regular season, knowing that Brock Boeser is this damn good? Like, I didn't know Brock Boeser was going to be this good. You know what I'm saying? So, all in all, kudos to that guy. Again, we talked about him a lot yesterday, but 17 goals in 20 games against the Kings. Him being an elite winger, I wonder if Pettersson struggles has him getting closer to finding Brock Boeser as a winger soon.
Again, I've been banging that drum since the beginning of last season, and we've yet to really see it yet. We saw it for like a period in that Devils game, DeBrusque, Boeser, and Pettersson. But again, I get the hesitancy to split up Miller and Boeser because they've been good together, right? So, but again, Brock Boeser against the LA Kings, man, that just seems like a match made in heaven, baby. I want to get to a couple comments here before we get out of here. I want to get to this one from Rick Hepner. When did Demko go down last year just about the same time? He's referring to the stat I brought up about the Canucks goal scoring struggles. So the numbers I brought up were from the post All-Star break last season. Demko didn't go down until early March, okay? Demko's last game before he sat out for a month was March 9th against the Winnipeg Jets. And he exited that game, and then Casey Smith came in. So they're not really correlated, right? Because Demko's in net for a month there, where the Canucks still struggled to score offensively. The Canucks, again, they just need to find a way to get more pucks to the net. We've been banging that drum for a long time. Everydayers know, occasional listeners know, it's time for the Canucks to be more like their bottom six forwards, man. Just get the pucks on net. Because looking for the fancy play, it worked for a good chunk of last season. And I think it gave the Canucks a false sense of security. They just need to start firing more pucks on net.
And they need to start scoring more goals. And it's ironic that he goes down against the Winnipeg Jets on that date, because I do believe that was probably the best game the Canucks played all season. They won 5-0, and they were absolutely dominant from the beginning to the end of that game. And Richards apologized. Not apologized. Sorry. Richards mentioned it twice on the comments about Demko being, a big missing piece. And even though, and now I'm paraphrasing, even though he's just a goaltender, I wonder if there's a roster that plays different and is more allowed to do what they want to do with the puck if they don't have Shelovs, Casey DeSmith, or Lankinen in net. And I know I'm contradicting myself just a bit because Lankinen has had to be like Vezina-like at various points throughout the season. But yeah, Bagsy, I guess end on that note. Do you think there's like a small chance that when Demko gets his footing back and he's in the net, that the Canucks like play better offensively?
I feel like that's grasping at straws, to be completely honest with you. Look, we talked about it heading into the season, how the Canucks were going to implement this new style and how, they shouldn't dial back from that just because Demko is injured. And they're trying to implement the new style. I think it's more of a mentality thing. Like, the new style is there. They are trying to be more aggressive on the forecheck. They're trying to create more rush chances. But again, they're just trying to be too cute with the puck. I think they need to just bang and crash more like the guys on the third line right now. And I think, you see Petey going to the net a lot right now. Honestly, he might just need to do that to get off the shine because his playmaking is just not there right now. So again, I think we're in November. It's a greasy time of year. Time for the Canucks to match greasy time of year with a little greasiness of their own. Okay, I'm skipping showers until Elias Pettersson gets a hat trick.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. You got a family. Do not do that. Okay, don't do that. Just take your showers, bro. Scrub away. All right. It doesn't relate with Pettersson. Oh no, Pettersson's gonna bump the slump, and we're gonna need Pettersson to bump the slump tonight in LA. Straight up. Don't give me that old Pettersson played great against the Anaheim. Bro, Anaheim sucks. Tonight matters. I want to see some play driving from that dude. Yo, if he can play drive and he can play drive alongside Connor Garland, again, I want to see that. I want to see what can happen there. Real talk. Anyways, though, we got to get out of here before we keep rambling. My name's Kyle Bound. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Join the Discord, okay? Elston brought up how, it'd be cool if we can get some voices on the podcast, right? Some of y'all talk on the podcast. There's a way to do that. I know how to do that. But you got to join the Discord, and maybe we can try to experiment tomorrow, okay? That'd be cool. Bluetooth, got my cell phone. We'll figure it out as long as you guys don't swear. You guys can talk about rulers, though, but you have to mention ruler and not the other word. Anyways, join the Discord. Hit the links in the bio. Buy a shirt. One love to Jimmy Honeywell. He bought 2 shirts, man. The F the Oilers. One love, bro. I can buy erectile dysfunction medicine now, okay? Again, these shirts are not associated with Locked On Canucks. But hit the link in the bio, read the blog, buy a shirt. And Beggsy, do the rest, man. Sign us out.
You know what, buddy? You know that I'm getting my daughter fuck the Oilers. Oh, whoa. Get that for Christmas, man. Unbelievable. Good in for my daughter, man. You got kid sizes for that? Unbelievable. Anyways, that was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. If you like what we're doing, make sure you go subscribe or like on YouTube. On the podcast, I'd go follow and leave a 5-star review. Kyle, I'm off tomorrow, man. So maybe another shirtless episode, maybe another shirtless post-game appearance tonight, man. You'll only find out by staying subscribed and follow the podcast wherever you listen. For now, we're going to get out of here. Go Canucks, go. Elias Pettersson. Elson Gunn showed to you on that one. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Peace.